What's up, guys? How we doing? So, as John Anik from the UFC says, one more sleep until Paula. I'm going to give you some predictions. I'm going to break down the 450 guys. And I had an interesting conversation with somebody who's worked very closely with Team KTM in developing their bike. And he had to stay anonymous, but he said some crazy things about that frame. Listen, we all have aches and pains. We've all gone out in dirt bikes and done crazy stuff. That's who we are. But if you have a relative who's suffering from arthritis or some sort of chronic pain, I'm telling you, give them Nano-Xtreme. They will thank you forever. This is the best pain solution that I've ever seen. And I am so thankful because they are going to put a dent into the opiates and the opiate epidemic. So try Nano-Xtreme. Use code Cooksy for free shipping. Do you have a big event planned this summer? Are you going to Mammoth, Loretta's, or just something else that you're training for, but you don't know if you're overtraining, undertraining? What should I do? Just click the link below, get your 30-minute consultation with Coach Rob Beams, and you will save so much time and your training will be so much more effective. So click that link below and spend the best 30 minutes of your preparation with Coach Rob. Precision Transport, the best shipping company in the business. They are so nice. They still believe in customer service, reasonable pricing. They're just good people that support motocross, supercross, support the Madden family, and use pretransport.com.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
But before I get into anything, I want to talk about, I think it's Emile. I don't know if you pronounce that. It's a European name. Emily, I don't know how to say your name. I hope I didn't butcher it too bad. But they reached out. They were preparing to go GP racing. He was going to do his very first GP, training, getting ready. And this one hits close to home because this happened to me when I was prepping to turn pro. I broke both my arms. They sent me this picture and I was like, oh my gosh. Unfortunately, I know exactly how that feels. He's had to have multiple surgeries on each arm. So I want to send my best, heal up quick, and just know it gets better. But what was really cool is I asked them, hey, do you have a fund that people can send to support your recovery? And they said, you know what? We're doing okay. But there's a lot of riders that still need our help. Jerry Robin, Chad Sauls, and a lot of these guys who are dealing with more serious injuries than him. So they wanted me to promote those guys instead of him. I thought that was a class act. So I'll tell you what, man, heal up and maybe we'll follow his journey as he starts to get better and see if he can make his actual debut and get back to racing. Because, man, injuries are brutal in this sport. They really are. And I'll tell you what, that broken arm one, you find out who your friends are, and it's not fun having to have somebody do everything for you, including wiping your ass. So the Paula track has got some changes, and I'm really happy with a couple of the changes they made. There was that high-speed section before that big tabletop and the tunnel jump there. So what they would do is they'd go up on the hill, make a U-turn, and then come bombing down at 60 plus miles an hour into that tabletop. They changed the track, so they're not going up on the hill and having that huge run, and it's safe. You remember that's a section where Cameron McAdoo had that horrendous crash and that laundry list of injuries. I'm glad they took note and changed that and took that section out of the track. It wasn't overly dangerous, but it was just, there was no need for it. It was too high speed heading in there, and it made for what could be a disaster. So this is Chase Sexton's last hurrah on that KTM and that steel frame. And I spoke with somebody who worked very closely with the team and tried to break down how that bike is. We got onto this topic because, Eli was talking about going there, and I thought that bike might suit him and he might get comfortable on it. And he said, no. This is the hardest bike to get comfortable on. The way he described it is in 2012, the engineers got it wrong and nobody would admit they got it wrong. So they kept doing these Band-Aid fixes, and then they redid it in 2016. In his words, that 2016 frame was an abomination. His words, not mine. Obviously, people have proven that KTM chassis and frame can win, and they've done a heck of a job getting suspension and going around it. But the one thing he told me is he said, if Eli goes there, it will be a disaster. Nobody can get comfortable on that chassis, is what he explained to me. Is he right? I don't know. It might be true because Chase Sexton's a guy that, comfortable or not, he still sends it. He made some very valid points as to why Eli should not go there. And man, after hearing that, I think I actually agree with him, because Eli's a guy that if that bike's not perfect and completely comfortable, he won't push. And what he said is You never get comfortable on that bike. And then when you do, it changes because that steel fatigues very fast. He said the chassis usually works best when they're worn out after about 30 hours. But at that point, then you've got to change the rest of your setup because the bike changes so drastically, so you'll never actually feel comfortable. With that said, Chase Sexton is doing his last outdoor series before moving over to Kawasaki on this KTM and this abomination of a chassis, not my words, that he was able to win the championship on last year. So he's defending the outdoor championship. And I'll tell you what, Chase, you can say a lot about the characteristics he shows. He is never a guy who, when he signs with somebody else, mails it in. KTM is going to get every last day of effort out of Chase Sexton. And I'll tell you what, that's kind of honorable. That's why I'm picking him to win at Paula, and I think he's going to end up being your outdoor champion again. The wonder kid, Jett Lawrence, is making his comeback after tearing an ACL in record recovery. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone tear an ACL. I don't know if it was not a complete tear. Obviously, they're not talking to me. But I'm wondering if it was just a partial tear and they just had to repair it and it wasn't a complete snap like a lot of the ACL tears. Either way, Jett Lawrence needed that break. He was off. He got to go hang out with his girlfriend. I think it kind of sucked that Hunter got hurt too, and it probably cut into his alone time. But anytime you're coming off an injury and jumping back into a series where guys like Sexton, Webb, Plessinger, they've been racing every week. The level rises every single week. And even though it's a different discipline and they've had a week off, it is still hard to jump right in. And Jett is going to get it together. He's just too good. I mean, he's so good. He's going to win races. But I think Sexton's going to edge him on points just because this is the one time where Jett is kind of vulnerable. I'll tell you what, if Chase can't beat him when he's coming in off that ACL injury, I don't know that I'll ever pick Chase to beat him again. And then we've got a very slighted Eli Tomac coming in with a chip on his shoulder because he hasn't been able to get the contract with Star Yamaha. It is incredibly frustrating for him and his camp that he is a Hall of Famer who looked good, won races, and just happened to break his leg. Once he decided he wanted to come back racing, he assumed he would get another contract with Star Yamaha, but they have already spent their money. And he's kind of pissed. He's like, wait, I'm Eli Tomac. Shouldn't you have saved some money for me, or can't you find it somewhere? So I get it. And even though Cooper Webb just won the Supercross Championship, let me ask you this. You get one rider for next year. You got Cooper Webb and Eli Tomac, both healthy. They both get the bike they want. Who would you prefer on your team? I'm not going to lie. Even though Cooper Webb is Cooper Webb, I go with Tomac every time because it's Tomac. Then you've got the world champion Jorge Prado also coming back from injury, but he's ridden Paula a lot. He's been training with the Club MX guys. I think he is going to be fast on certain days, and I would be shocked if he doesn't get a couple moto wins and an overall or two, but I don't see him being there every single race this whole summer. It gets hot. He has a history of struggling in the heat. Now, I don't know if that's the only way to tell the future is to look at the past. And in the GPs, when they got to the really hot climates, Prado struggled. Maybe that was youth. Maybe he had overheated. Maybe those days are gone. But until I see him go to Redbud on a hot day and survive, I have to think he's going to have some bad days, but I think he's probably going to win Southwick, Unadilla, and some of these European-style tracks, he's going to be almost unbeatable. And the guy who, I don't know that you can even call it a surprise anymore, Justin Cooper. This dude, if he could skim whoops, he would have been in the championship battle. That's how good he rode all season with the starts and his technical abilities. And if history tells us, he's better at outdoors than he is at Supercross. If he can actually make an improvement, I have him in fourth because I kind of have to see it before I can believe it. And I think Justin Cooper really needs to believe he can go out and go 1-1 in the 450 class before he actually does it. And I'm not sure he has that kind of self-confidence. But if he does, I'm not going to be shocked. I'll be like, whoa, but he's that good. I could absolutely see him going out there, winning races, and battling for this championship. Not just getting fourth, but I could see him battling for the championship. But until I see that breakout ride where he establishes himself, I just can't put him any higher than fourth. Aaron Plessinger. Everybody loves the cowboy, but I don't see him as a top five, like a top contender. He's going to get a lot of podiums, but I don't see him getting a lot of wins. I see him being around, having fun, doing Aaron Plessinger things. He is so good for the sport. But I got AP at fifth. Check out Ride Strapped, goggles, glasses, shirts, just a really cool company that I'm happy to be associated with. So hit up ridestrap.com. Alias MX. They've got their new 2026 lineup. They've got bicycle gear, just a really high quality gear company. And their 2026 lineup is dropping soon. And as soon as I see that, I will let you guys know. Go to aliasmx.com. Next, I've got Jason Anderson, El Hombre. I got him finishing 6th. There is no doubt about his talent, but what I'm seeing with him and Kawasaki, that is a very unhappy union right now. They are working together because, well, they need a guy out there and Anderson wants to get the rest of his contract paid out. But I would almost guarantee you if they walked up to Anderson and said, here's your money for the rest of the year, go away, it wouldn't hurt his feelings one bit. He'd be like, all right, peace, I'm out of here. And these top guys, they'll never cheat you on 100% effort. But it's that little extra, that taking it beyond 100% and risking and doing those things are what separates the podium guys from 5 to 10. And I think Anderson's going to be just fine riding around in 5th to 10th and just collecting his paycheck and getting through the summer and getting on to whatever he's doing next year. And it sounds like Club MX is no longer an option. I spoke with those guys today and they said, yeah, we really wanted him. We think he's a great guy. But we couldn't get him to commit, and they had to go a different direction. Now, Anderson, from what I heard, really liked them too, and he wanted to go there, but he just didn't want to move to South Carolina. The wife, the kid, the family, he just didn't want to have to move out there full time. Jason Anderson is not going to be on Club MX. Then I got Jett's brother. I think Jett's brother is going to be solid. I mean, he rode really good. He finished 2nd in the series last year, but it was an incredibly depleted series. Coming in off that shoulder injury, I think he's going to have a hard time. Shoulder injuries, they're tricky. Like at first, they can linger, and the strength that he's going to have to be up front with these savages at the top, I don't know that he'll consistently do that. He's really good, and I see some podiums in his future, but I don't see him getting a win, and I don't see him in title contention. Then I got your Supercross champion, Cooper Webb. Now, Cooper Webb, if he was focused and cared about outdoors, I would absolutely put him in the top 3, 4, 5, but I take him at his word. He doesn't care about outdoors. He's just scoring as many points as he can to get to SMX and then get on to Supercross in 2026. He doesn't want to be out there, but he's also a professional. Much like Jason Anderson, he's going to go out there and he's going to give 100%, but I don't see him pushing that edge and going over the line. And that's assuming he doesn't bow out because of the thumb injury that he had in Supercross that he probably needs to get fixed. I think if you see some bad results out of Cooper Webb, he may bow out and just take the summer off, which I say go for it, man. You just won the Supercross championship. Do you really need to go outdoors? It's a completely different discipline. You can say it's SMX, but really it's motocross and supercross, 2 different disciplines that they've manufactured into a series. And I'm a big fan of SMX in the playoff format or the race-off format. I love those 3 races at the end. I think it's a great opportunity to showcase the sport, the riders. It gives us 3 more races to watch, but it does wear these guys down. So Cooper Webb, do what you got to do. Go fishing, fix the thumb. Just be ready to go for SMX, and if not SMX, we'll see him at 2026 defending his championship. Then we got Malcolm Stewart. He's never really been an outdoor guy. But what was interesting, and this sucks, this is such a bummer to see him switch to FXR gear. I had heard rumblings that 7 motocross gear was in trouble financially for quite some time. But as long as they still had Malcolm and these different riders, I didn't think it was that bad. Seeing Malcolm Stewart switch gear companies from his brother's gear company, the family business, lets me know how dire the financial situation is over at 7. And what sucks is we're probably going to see that gear company go away. But man, they've had some good looks throughout the years, and I'm disappointed to see them go. Man, and then you've got so many riders from that, 10th to 30th range that are so good. You got GP riders coming over. You got Benoit Patrel, who hasn't had great results recently, but he's excited to be over here. He did win an MX2 GP back in the day, so this guy's got a lot of talent. I don't expect him to be up inside the top 5, but don't be shocked if every once in a while he makes an appearance inside that top 10. And then you got Colt Nichols for that same team. He looked so good. I've never thought of him as an outdoor guy, but what I saw last week when the money was on the line, I think he's going to be pretty good. But it is so stacked, and I know that gets redundant. Once again, we've got the most stacked field ever, and we'll have that. It will be the most stacked field ever until probably next year. Because as these guys stay around longer, we get more generations that are together, and the talent level at the top is just so good right now. Before I leave, I'm gonna give you my predictions, and you tell me. This is just for Paula, not for the championship. In the 450 class, I think Chase Sexton's gonna get it done at the opener. I think the Wonder Kid, Jett Lawrence, is gonna get second. And I think Justin Cooper is gonna have some flashes and go like 5-2 for third overall. That's where I got the top 3. In the 250 class, I think, I don't know how you could pick against Hayden Deegan, but if they're gonna get him, they better jump on him quick, hope for a Supercross hangover, which I don't think he'll have. And the wild card there is Levi Kitchen. I got him finishing second just because of what I heard about how he's prepared and he's been healthy for a while and just focusing on outdoors, coming in under the radar. So I got Kitchen in number 2. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say Julian Beaumer. This guy's been working on his outdoor skills. He's very good at Paula. I could see Julian getting on the podium at round 1. Thank you, members. I appreciate your support so much. And at the end of this month, I'll be giving away a 32-ounce bottle of Nano Xtreme to just a random member. I got a randomizer. I go through all the members, I hit the number, and then I count down, and that's who wins the 32-ouncer. In December, I'll be giving away the new Power Sports XQi3. This thing is badass. I get my bike next week. I will have it all dialed in, and hopefully whoever wins it, I can get you to come out here and go riding with me. Thank you guys so much. Here's your member of the day.